Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The Senate Republican majority should have no problem adhering to Justice Ginsburg's dying wish. Leader McConnell held a Supreme Court vacancy open for nearly a year in order to, quote, give the people a voice.
As a nation, we should heed her final call to us, not as a personal service to her, but as a service to the country, our country, at a crossroads.
Her last, to quote her, fervent wish was that the next president decide her replacement.
Doesn't work that way. End of the day, it doesn't work that way. End of the day, the Dems are largely powerless. That's why the emotion. That's why the anger. That's why the frustration. At the end of the day, the Republicans have the ball in their court. Doesn't mean it's going to get done. Doesn't mean somebody's going to be confirmed. Doesn't mean any of those things. So many things can happen. You've got a couple Republicans that are wavering out there. People are looking at Mitt Romney. Could he be another one? You have an election here in November, like everywhere else. But what people don't understand is Martha McSally, who is currently sitting in John McCain's seat after his passing. If Mark Kelly wins, which right now looks like that's going to happen kind of easily, he can be sworn in immediately. That is a possibility. So you don't need a lot to stop it. But at this moment, you can't stop it. At this moment, there's not a lot you're going to be able to do. And at this moment, if you start to say, well, we're going to impeach whoever we think we need to impeach at this moment in time because that's what we need to do to try to slow this thing down, here's the reality of it. You're going to look even worse. And it sucks. You're powerless. You're frustrated. Now you know what it was like when the Republicans saw what took place with Obamacare. They couldn't stop it. Middle of the night, all of this stuff. Let's pass it to see what's in it. They couldn't stop it. Now you get it. It's politics. Her dying wish was a wish. Politics isn't Make-A-Wish. It's not what this is about. And it frustrates people. I get it. It frustrates the hell out of people on the left because somehow they believe at the end of the day, everything's going away. That tomorrow, the minute somebody's sworn in or who gets past it, you know, the option here, whoa, we're going to blow this up, nuclear option, this, that, and the other. Next thing you know, it's a 6-3 court is the way they look at it. And it's not conservative versus liberal. Really what it is are you an originalist? Do you look at the Constitution the way it was written, or do you think the Constitution's a living, breathing thing? They'll look at it conservative, liberal, because that's the way they look at it. But at the end of the day, they can't do anything. And that frustrates the hell out of them. And that's totally fine. You have a right to be frustrated. Roe v. Wade's not going anywhere. It's just not. Roe v. Wade's not going anywhere. Even Amy Coney Barrett, who's one of the favorites, has already said, look, Roe v. Wade's been spoken for. The reality is it's now about the funding. Some of the other people that they're looking at, they don't have the record that some people believe that the pro-lifers would like to see. But it's not going anywhere. Obamacare is an issue. Absolutely. When you go and look at what a lot of this stuff is going to be based on with the new justice, whoever that person is, he or she, would most likely going to be she, regardless of who's president. You're going to have things like regulations, which will be big. Something you're going to hear about in the coming months is something called the Chevron case. And it has to do with regulations and over-regulations. Little things that you don't think about, but the frustration that I see in people, and the frustration is, at the end of the day, this is about the Senate more than it is about the presidency. Barack Obama said it. My job as president is to nominate somebody. Mitch McConnell's job at the time was to make sure that nomination didn't see the light of day. Welcome to the world of politics. If you reversed it, do you think Chuck Schumer right? Let's say in the weird world, Hillary won, right? And Chuck Schumer was the head of the Senate. He was the Mitch McConnell, the leader of the Senate. He was top dog. He was the leader of the pack. He was big man. And Clarence Thomas passed away or had to step down for whatever reason. Do you think that we're just going to wait. We're going to wait. It's a few weeks. It's a few months. We're going to wait. That's all we're going to. No, hell no. And you know what? That's your job. That's your job. Your job is to do that for your constituents and what you think is right. And in politics, it is full contact UFC, Godzilla versus King Kong. That's your job. So you go and do it. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. There's still some issues out there. Murkowski, Collins. What's going to go on with Mitt Romney? How does Mitt look at let's just say they bring somebody in like Andy Coney Barrett, right, who is very pro-life, who's all these things, even though none of that stuff will probably ever change. The reality is, how do you, if you're Mitt Romney, say no and still be a Republican and have to face Mitch McConnell and everybody else and go back to your uber conservative state? It's a tough thing. It is. Welcome to the world we live in. Politics is full contact across the board. And that's what it is. At the end of the day, you don't have the pieces in place. Politics, when you look at and we've talked about it forever, a president usually gets one shot at something. So usually they'll get a Supreme Court nomination where everything lines up, and they usually have one shot at something big. Obamacare, tax reform. Then, as we tend to do as voters in this country, we say, oh, this party may have too much power. It's time for us to take some of that power away and give it to the other guys. And so we go and do that. Trump had everything. Then he had less. And then he had a little bit. And here we go. That's the way it works. Would I be surprised if come January, the Senate, the House, and the White House would be on the Democratic side? I wouldn't be surprised. Would I be surprised in 2 years if whoever's still president on the left side of the aisle, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, is there? That the Senate, because they're going to have to defend a lot more, gets a little bit closer, or maybe even flips back, and the House comes a little bit closer because we like to do that. We keep in check. But the dying wish is a wish. And sometimes wishes come true. Sometimes not so much. We'll find out. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me, text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. Coronavirus still right here.
In addition to COVID, we'll be seeing flu and other respiratory viruses. And as we go indoors and viruses do better in the winter, we may see some of the restrictions needing to be rolled out again. That's something people should anticipate.
Dr. Richard Besser, just out of curiosity, doctor, what restrictions would those be? Because most states I know are still living in the world of restrictions. Like we're still living in the world of restrictions. Restaurants really aren't open here in a way that you would think, where it's just, hey, free to come and go. It's still like 25% out here in Arizona, across the country. I don't know too many places where it's 100% everywhere. Restrictions as far as the limited amounts of people that can go in and out of certain establishments. Offices are still kind of working either at half capacity, or like where I am at. Normally we have 75 to 100 people here a day. On average, about 12 to 15, depending on the day. So I don't know what other restrictions we're going to have. It's like, are we going to have to? All right, now here's, not only are you not allowed to work, you're not allowed to go outside, and we're deciding that based on these restrictions, you're also not allowed to eat. Okay. I don't know. And I don't think the flu is going to be that bad. How can you have the flu be bad when nobody's allowed to do anything? I think that's a fair thing. How do you have that? Like, what's the flu season going to be like? Well, it's going to be really bad. How? Well, I don't know. Because are people going to come inside and deliver the flu to your house? Is that the way that's going to work? Then you got the CDC, which is a nightmare. We already know that. And it's worse and worse and worse. And every time you look at the CDC, you want to know why people get pissed and frustrated and upset? Look, perfect example is look at how this whole thing has played itself out. The misinformation, the half-ass information, the guesstimation, the reversing courses, the politics of it all. Hold on. We got a mistake.
All of the indications, though, that I have seen point towards it actually being an error in the scientific review process and not some type of more nefarious political motivation.
Which was, it's airborne. There's aerosol. Now it's not, but it could be. But maybe it is. I don't know. Is it air? Is it not? That's the CDC. Frustration across the board. Welcome to the world we live in. This thing's novel. We still are trying to figure things out. And yeah, politics plays a part in it. But the reality is, so do human beings. Human beings think they get something right, then they find out, well, we didn't get it right. Then you think you get something wrong, and then you find out, nope, that was right. We thought we got it wrong. Frustration. Welcome to politics in a world of a pandemic. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me, text the program. By the way, I watched the, I don't know, producer Phil, if you watched the game last night, the Raiders, Las Vegas, but that Death Star is awesome.
Stadium did look pretty cool.
It is awesome. It's sad. We are living in a world of pandemic. We can't have fans. But so last night, the Raiders debuted their new stadium in Las Vegas. Monday Night Football, I thought they did a really good job. They kind of went throwback 70s. Steve Levy. They had Greasy up there. They were all wearing their yellow jackets a la the 1970 Howard Cosell in that era. It was a pretty good game. Raiders won, but the stadium was amazing. It was incredible. And it sucks because there was nobody in the crowd. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Tweet at me, text the program. Lots of stuff to squeeze in today. We'll do all of that. Masterclass. Speaking of squeezing stuff in. So I'm doing Masterclass. I go on. Usually I get here early in the morning. Sometimes I get here a little bit earlier than I normally would. And for those of you guys who don't know, I work a lot of hours. I'm up by about 2 in the morning, 2:30. I'm into work by about 3:15. And I don't leave here till 6. So I don't come till 7 last night. But sometimes I get here a little bit earlier, or I'll have a little bit of time between my shows and stuff, and I'll do my Masterclass. Now, Masterclass is great. They offer 85 different online classes taught by the greatest of the greatest of the greatest of anything that you want to learn. So if you want to learn about politics, they've got it, right? So you can go to politics and business and society. So you can go to somebody like Bob Woodward, Paul Krugman, Karl Rove, David Axelrod. They're going to teach you about politics. And in this day and age, it's just great to learn some of this stuff, even if you just want to learn. Other people might want to learn about things like, how do I write scripts for television? I've got an idea. I want to turn my hobby into a career. Masterclass is going to help you. 20 classes per whatever it is you're doing. They last about 10 minutes each. And you get downloadable material. You get recipes if you're looking to cook. All of these things to support it. And it is amazing. It is amazing. So like David Axelrod and Karl Rove, they're going to teach you about campaigns. How do you build these things? What goes into it, how to develop the platform, because it's not just, hey, these are my ideas. You have to have all of those things. You get 24 videos with that. And in this day and age, hey, that's an awesome thing. Right now, 85 classes, unlimited access. You're going to save 15% just for being a listener to my show. Go to masterclass.com/Benson, masterclass.com/Benson. Save 15%, masterclass.com/Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Experiencing separation anxiety? That's dumb. Check out Chad 24/7 at his website, ChadBensonShow.com, and on iTunes, free. The Chad Benson Show. Never feel lonely again.
before all this happened, TikTok said that it was already keeping all the data on Americans in the U.S. with backups in Singapore. So that was the concern, is that the Chinese government could still get the data even though it was already in the U.S. because ByteDance is beholden to the Chinese government since it's a Chinese company.
Yeah, of course they are. Let's be 100% honest, right? Like, do we really trust the Chinese government? How many Uyghurs are in camps right now? Couple million in camps, maybe more, maybe a little bit less, but we'll round it out about there. Not quite sure about the virus. The more I read about it, the more that I'm starting to believe that they made an oops and then lied to the world. Not that they were building a weapon, but that they were playing around with some stuff, and they screwed up. And it got out. And there's more evidence along the way that's not conspiratorial. Nobody's saying they were building a weapon. It was more like Barney Fife was guarding something, didn't do a good job. Got out, tried to push it off. Well, it was, was it Pagolons, those animals? Or no, it was the wet market. No, it was the wet market. It was this, that, and the other. And then you go and you see some people out there who are not just, hey, I'm a pretend doctor. No, they're real doctors and scientists who are saying, you know what? There's stuff inside this thing that doesn't add up. So no, I don't trust the Chinese, whether it's through the virus or TikTok.
Oracle says that it will take over as the cloud provider, so the data will be stored still in the U.S. by a different company, now Oracle, and they'll take a stake in the company, but it's still going to be controlled by a Chinese entity.
All that we care about is our stuff, if you're using it, is it safe? The fact is with all these companies, these intertwined, everything's in a cloud, people are trying to hack into each other. Is anything safe unless you go Ted Kaczynski off the grid? Probably not. Probably not. But at least for now, you got to keep TikTok. And it's kind of fun. I get some good golf tips on there. Not going to lie to you. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. Text the program as well. Debates one night from tonight. That will be interesting. How important is it for Trump and Biden? We'll touch on that. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The Senate Republican majority should have no problem adhering to Justice Ginsburg's dying wish. Leader McConnell held a Supreme Court vacancy open for nearly a year in order to, quote, give the people a voice.
As a nation, we should heed her final call to us, not as a personal service to her, but as a service to the country, our country, at a crossroads.
Her last, to quote her, fervent wish was that the next president decide her replacement.
Oh, is that what it was? Again, it's not Make-A-Wish. She's an amazing woman who became a cultural icon in her last years. We talked about it yesterday. I'll say it again. Why didn't you leave 10 years ago? You had a chance. The Democrats had everything. You had Obama, you had the House, you had the Senate, you had every opportunity to leave. You were 77 years old. You were going through cancer treatments. You'd been diagnosed. Part of it, I think, was her husband had just died. I think I think she lived for her work. But if it was that important to you and you thought Hillary was going to win and you didn't and you held on. But it's a fair question to ask. That's why right now, if I'm Donald Trump and I happen to win the next one and you hold on to the Senate, I go straight to Mitch McConnell and I go, all right, here's the deal. Clarence Thomas is 72. We should think about, while we have the chance, I know it's a lifetime appointment, but a lifetime appointment doesn't mean you have to stay there till you die. You could step down and say, you know what? I've done good. It's time for me to go. If you're that concerned, if that's part of what it is that you're concerned about. Remember, this is politics. We could talk about all the other stuff about, well, it's about this or it's about that. This is politics, and politics is business, just in a different name. Want to know how I know? Because it's politics, and I've done business, and I know politics. And listen to things like this.
Republican Senate Leader Mitch McConnell making this promise about filling Ginsburg's seat.
This Senate will vote on this nomination this year.
But that's not the position he took in 2016, when he refused to consider President Obama's pick months before the election.
Let's let the American people decide.
McConnell says now is different because the Senate and White House are both controlled by Republicans. Former Vice President Joe Biden is also being pressed on his comments back in 2016.
I would go forward with the confirmation process as chairman, even a few months before presidential election.
Biden says this year is different because voting has already started in this presidential election.
Go outside, right? Do what golfers do. Grab a little bit of grass or a leaf or something, throw it in the air, whichever the way the wind's blowing, boom. It's about power. Who has the power to do something now? Who has the power to get something through now? You take it while you can. You strike while the iron's hot. You ever watch a game? It's like, let's just say, it doesn't matter what it is, right? So let's just say it's basketball, right? Probably not a lot, or football. And you got your starter, right? And you got your backup. Close, potentially, in skill level. But for whatever reason, starter's struggling, the backup's got the hot hand. Or your starter's doing great, but he's doing so good that every time you just feed him the ball. Feed. Just this it. Next game, he might miss everything. But right now, we got this opportunity. Backup running back. Oh, my God, this guy's on fire. They can't stop him. Feed him the ball. Last night, I'm watching the Raider game. The Raider game at the Death Star. Derek Waller, who's their tight end, his story's amazing. He had some drug issues. He was in and out of the league, and the Raiders saw him on a practice squad game where he wasn't even in uniform, and nobody could cover him. So the Raiders are like, let's just sign this guy. And last year had a huge year. Last night, nobody could stop him. They're just throwing the ball to him left, right, and center. Just keep feeding him the ball. Same thing in politics. We have everything in our favor. Let's get as much done as possible because we know it's not going to last. So keep feeding everybody the ball until eventually it goes away. That's politics. Grab what you can now because you're not going to have this forever. Grab it. Right now, the Democrats are frustrated because they can't seem to stop it. Their best bet at this moment in time is what? Go and find 3 or 4 what you think are vulnerable Republicans that somehow you can flip. Susan Collins and Murkowski have already said something. Here's the thing. Susan Collins, I don't know why you're saying this. I don't. You don't think it's right or because of this. It's politics. You were put there for a reason. People voted for you in Maine for a reason. You stood up when the Kavanaugh thing, which, look, that Kavanaugh thing was an absolute joke. They turned him in to Harvey Weinstein and Bill Cosby, and it was the biggest joke of jokes. You know it and I know, but that was politics. You've got to do everything you possibly can to stop something. That's what they'll do. You got to play dirty. It's politics. You don't think the Republicans absolutely do it. And their base would expect them to. The other side, why, Susan, are you not going to do this? Why? You don't like Trump or whatever. Murkowski, what do you want? You're not up for re-election right now, so you got 2 years, so you're really not worried about. So what do you need? What has to happen there for you to jump on board? You've got to find 3 of them and then hope that Mark Kelly, if he wins, can get sworn in early. Because if you only have 3, tie goes to the runner. A la Mike Pence. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. Text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. Coronavirus is not going anywhere. The battle is there. and, of course, the battle of words.
In front of a large crowd of supporters, most not wearing masks or socially distancing, President Trump at a rally in Ohio Monday continued to downplay the threat of coronavirus. The president claiming COVID-19 affects elderly people who have heart problems or other pre-existing conditions and has not impacted people under the age of 18.
Take your hat off to the young because they have a hell of an immune system, but it affects virtually nobody.
But in a phone call with journalist Bob Woodward back in March, the president acknowledged the threat to young people, saying there were, quote, some startling facts that, quote, plenty of young people are impacted by COVID.
But the reality is that's not really true. Flu is far more dangerous. Far more. Here's the politics of it. What's more dangerous to a child, to children, or to people under the age of 18? The flu or this? Well, the flu. Okay. By far. Not even close. Both are bad. We can readily admit that. Well, it affects nobody, right? It affects nobody. Right now in America, it's a little over 1% of the country that is tested positive for coronavirus. We've lost 200,000 people. We would like to lose none. The reality is that's not the way the world works. Yesterday, CNN. So we've got all the TVs on in our studio. So we had flipped on the beginning of the Raider game, and then we had the other three TVs. And CNN has this. They're running, clock thingy that they've got there. Their tote board for this and the doom scrolling, and their lives lost thing was rolling up. And by there, they would put whoever it was and then the age. And I'm like, if your whole thing is to scare a bunch of people, you're if the average age person is like 77, people are like, the average age for a person, life expectancy is only like 75. Nobody wants to lose anybody. I think you're not doing that for heart disease or cancer. You're not going to do that in the flu season. It's politics. It's a story. That's the world that we live in. Doom scrolling. Yesterday, I read a great article about disaster fatigue. Do we have that? Are we at that? Because we have this general malaise, right? Like this kind of, we're all kind of down or whatever, and people are fatigued over it. And I said, part of that is us, the way that we consume stuff. Algorithms are written in such a way that things like hate, anger, awful things, for whatever reason, they get a lot more hits. They go a lot further. The reaction to them is much greater. And that's what happens here. It's like everybody goes down a rabbit hole of stuff. They're interested. It's the same thing when you go on WebMD. How many of us have gone on WebMD and you're like, I have a twisted knee. And by the end of the day, you're like pretty sure that you have some sort of bizarre disease. You're like, I think I got bit by a tsetse fly. You're like, what? Yeah. We go down that thing. We doom scroll. We do. And it sucks. Was this a situation where we went overboard in the way that we handled it? And no, I think we could have handled it better. And at the same time, I think we could have done it in a better way without making us hair on fire all the time. We could have said, look, this thing's serious, but we don't know a lot about it. We're going to take precautions, but we're not going to lose our minds. We're going to ask you to do some stuff, and you just use common sense. I don't want to babysit you. I'm going to treat you like an adult until you can't be treated like an adult anymore. And we'll get through this thing on the other side. That seems like it should be easy, but the reality is it isn't. And now we're heading into the season, right? And we know this.
This could be the worst fall from a public health perspective we've ever had.
Oh, my God. This could be. Could absolutely be the worst fall. I don't think the flu is going to be that bad. If you go and look, flu season in other parts of the globe right now is very minimal. Some of the mildest they've ever seen. Why is that? Well, partly because we're social distancing. We're not working. Kids aren't in school like they usually are, and they're the ones who are the most susceptible to the flu. So the reality is, at this moment in time, things flu-wise aren't going to be as bad. That's a bonus. I think a lot more people this year are going to get the flu shot because they're like, well, if I have to, I don't have the vaccine for this yet, so we better do something to at least somewhat protect ourselves. You can say, look, hey, everybody out there, the potential for this thing to get ugly in certain parts of the places is very real as we head back indoors because it starts to get cooler. Things like this can spread a lot easier. I just ask you guys not to be idiots. Wear a mask when needed. Wash your hands a little bit more. Stop touching things. We can move on with our lives. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. Text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. Rough Greens. There is no understanding of my dog Doodle and how at least once a day everybody asks me, how's your dog Doodle? I get a DM. Is that really your dog on the Rough Greens thing? I said, yeah, it's him. So Doodle, my dog, we rescued him. We thought he was 5. That's what we were told when we rescued him. And he ended up being probably about closer to 8 or 9. So he's going on about 11 years old right now. 12 years old, I think. And he had arthritis in his hips and fatty tumors, and you could feel them. We started giving him Rough Greens. After we exhausted everything, we thought about putting him to sleep. Rough Greens is amazing. It's got probiotics. It's got omega-3, 6, 9. It's got vitamins and minerals, and it's not dog food. It's just a supplement. You sprinkle on the dog's food. They love the taste, and it does wonders for them. $14.95 is all it costs for a 14-day jump start. And what it does is it brings your dog's food to life. And the symptoms he had, those fatty tumors, I can pet him now. He doesn't at all get mean or angry. His hips are 1,000 times better. He runs around like he's never run around before. And he's a puppy in many cases. And we feed it to our puppies as well. Your dog will thank you for it and love it. Try it. 14-day jumpstart, $14.95. Go to roughgreens.com/Chad, ruffgreens.com/Chad, or call 833-MyDog88, 833-MyDog88. You will definitely see the difference in just a few days, and after 2 weeks, you will be sold. Rough Greens, we make any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
Set Chad straight. Text the show, 323-538-2423. That's 323-538-CHAD. Someone has to do it. Might as well be you. The Chad Benson Show.
Oh, hello, and welcome to the pandemic.
Jimmy Kimmel had the honor of hosting what we now know was the least watched Emmys broadcast of all time. Just 6.1 million people tuned in, according to the preliminary numbers, about 1 million less than the previous least-watched show last year. The Awards Fest down 13% in total viewers. For context, last week's premiere of Dancing with the Stars was watched by 2 million more people than the Emmys. Award shows have been shedding numbers for years across the board as viewership habits change. The Emmys was also up against Sunday Night Football in the NBA playoffs.
Yeah, and a lot of things. People in middle America who used to love this, they're sick and tired of being told how racist and stupid they are. And much like with their sports, for a lot of people, they just, I want the entertainment side of it. I don't want the political side of it. You have all of these other vehicles now. So it sucked. Like, it super sucked. Just to give you an idea, even with football having their issues, 16.2 million viewers. Football Night in America, pre-football, 7 million viewers. The NFL overtime on Fox, 13 million viewers. You got served. Nobody wants to watch it. Nobody does. Nobody cares. They don't. For a lot of reasons. And it's not just politics. Politics plays a part in it because nobody wants to be preached at. Like, today's National Voter Registration Day. I tell everybody, go vote. I don't care who you vote for. I don't care who you vote for. Vote. And if you choose, hey, you know what? I don't like either of these presidents. I'm going to do a write-in, or I'm just going to skip it, and I'm going to vote for the other things that I think are important. Fantastic. If you voted all your life and you're frustrated and you don't want to vote, but you want your voice heard, well, I mean, for some people, maybe I get that. I don't know. It's just a frustrating thing for people who want to watch entertainment and stuff like that. And they don't get to watch entertainment stuff because they feel like they're going to get preached at. Same thing with sports. It's just tough. It does. I sit there and I get it. Everybody wants to have their voice heard. Everybody wants their moment. But stars, it's not just about the political side of it. You guys are everywhere 24/7 because everybody is, because we have vehicles now from TikTok to Instagram to Facebook to WhatsApp to you name it, Twitter. We know what you're thinking. We know what you're wearing. We know what you're not wearing. We know who you're dating. We know who you're not dating. We know everything all the time. So that once mystery allure is not a mystery at all. And that's part of it as well. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. And I think the other part of it is we have so many choices that the best show 40 years ago, 30 years ago, everybody knew what it was. Now we have so many choices that sometimes so much to consume, the favorite show of you may be the only one who watches it. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The Senate Republican majority should have no problem adhering to Justice Ginsburg's dying wish. Leader McConnell held a Supreme Court vacancy open for nearly a year in order to, quote, give the people a voice.
As a nation, we should heed her final call to us, not as a personal service to her, but as a service to the country, our country, at a crossroads.
Her last, to quote her, fervent wish was that the next president decide her replacement.
This isn't Make-A-Wish. This is politics. Politics is full contact. We've been talking about it. A brilliant woman. I take nothing away from her. If you study anything about her life, even if you're just saying to yourself, I don't know if I want to get that deep into it, go watch the movie On the Basis of Sex. Realize what she went through. Ruth Bader Ginsburg. First of all, as a woman, then a Jewish woman, and I'm going to say something else. Then a housewife and a mother. This is a woman whose husband was sick with cancer while they were all going through school. She went to his classes and her classes. She did things that you couldn't even imagine, all while being a wife and a mother in a day and age when that was expected and anything else was unexpected and frowned upon. At the end of the day, though, and she knows this is as good, as better than anybody else probably did, which was politics. Wishing doesn't work. What's the goal? The end goal is get as much as you can when you can, because what you have in the wave of your power is limited. You could talk about the hypocrisy. We've talked about it. By the way, Mitch and Biden have flip-flopped in the way that they've come at these things. So what do the Democrats have to do? They've got to have all their arsenal, and their arsenal basically consists of, we need 3 Republicans, or we need 4, But if we could get 3 and we win Arizona, we can get him sworn in early. And the reason for that is because McSally is filling in a seat for the late John McCain. And so that seat, John McCain in some weird way can come back and haunt him. That seat could immediately be filled if McSally loses. And Kelly's probably going to win. He's up by about double digits in most polls. They can't do anything. One of their holdouts, their hopes, was Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney just signaled today, I'm looking at the Constitution. I'm looking at precedent. This is not unprecedented. And so we're going to go forward. And it looks like he will have a vote. You knew it was going to be tough for him. He's gone against the president before. A little bit different here, especially when it comes to this. And who would the president pick? Who could the president pick? There are 3 people in mind, 2 that seem to be the leaders in the clubhouse. Amy Coney Barrett, one of them.
He met with Coney Barrett today at the White House. She is from Indiana and a former law clerk for Justice Antonin Scalia. She is a devout Catholic with 7 kids and is strongly supported by anti-abortion activists. Her faith came up at her confirmation hearing for her current post.
Yeah. Feinstein, kind of went after, your faith is how dare you? The reality is she's already said, not really, the Roe v. Wade isn't on the table. The funding part of it may be, and that's where the fight lies now. The other person who I think has a better chance of getting through easier, on average, it's 70 days. On average. In the last 30 years, the shortest has been Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She got through in 42 days. That's where we stand right now for the election. Some have gotten through much faster if you go back in history. One of the things that can cut that down is the people that top the list are people that have just recently been confirmed. And so there's nothing new about them. And the one that I think tops the list out of all is Barbara Lagoya.
Barbara Lagoya is a former Chief Justice of the Florida Supreme Court. She was born in Miami. Her parents fled Castro's Cuba. The president seems to think picking her could be a popular move in a state he must win. Joe Biden is urging Republicans to hold off on replacing Justice Ginsburg until after the election. Among the things he says are in the balance, Obamacare, with its protections for people with pre-existing conditions. The Supreme Court will hear a challenge to the law just 1 week after the election.
Here's why she's interesting. If you look at the likes of Judge Rushing, a 38-year-old female, because all 3 of these are the top candidates. You've also got Coney Barrett, and then you've got Lagoya. She got through kind of in a contentious time, pretty unscathed. I think it was 89-11 was the votes, where the other ones were kind of party line for the other 2. And that's something Trump may look at and say, hey, look, here's the thing. People, they know all of them. Coney Barrett, while good and would be a great pick for the pro-life, the reality is the fight there is going to be really ugly. They've got through. She got through relatively unscathed over here. So why don't we just do the simple thing? Because all of them are qualified. They're all relatively young, especially when you look at the current setup of the court. Maybe a smart thing to do. But those are your 3. People have been asking me, what happens if there's a tie in the Supreme Court when it comes to the election? First of all, here's the thing. All right, so I'll break down some wacky, crazy scenarios so you guys just understand that people say, well, what about President Pelosi? Is there a possibility? Yes. Now, she wouldn't be president for long, and the chances of that happen are so minute. But in this day and age of coronavirus and everything else, I never rule anything out at this point in time. The way that would happen is there wouldn't be a settled winner. It would still be battered around inside the court system, and we may even have to have some weird special election. Who knows what would. So at that point in time, there would be an interim president. That would be the Speaker of the House. Probably not going to happen. What happens if there's only 8 on the Supreme Court and these challenges go to the Supreme Court after the election, which you know they're going to? What happens then? Well, what happens then, it's pretty simple. If it happens to be 4-4, and that's a big if, and we think that because everybody thinks Chief Justice Roberts is some sort of tiebreaker super liberal, and 99% of the time, he's not. And the times that he's gone against Trump, by the way, Gorsuch and Kavanaugh have gone against Trump. By the time he's gone against Trump, it has been not because he doesn't believe or even think what Trump is trying to do was legal. The framework of how they built out the argument could have been wrong. So, if it happened to be 4-4, if it happened to be that kind of situation, then the lower court's ruling would be the ruling that stands. And that's a big if. We're a long way away from there. We got to get through the debates, then another debate, then the October surprises, then more debates, then the coronavirus, then a few more debates. Then finally, we will land on that November night when we will all vote, unless, of course, you're voting by mail, which will then cause the stir, which will happen on Sunday. So the way that everybody's talking about the red mirage, Tuesday night, late into the night, Trump seems to be winning handily and across the board in certain parts of the country, and it looks like he is in for the victory. Then, subsequently, the Wednesday, the Thursday, the Friday, the Saturday, the Sunday, all of these votes that are mailed in, absentee, get counted. Lo and behold, you look up, and that red mirage has turned to a blue wave, and Trump loses Monday morning. All of these lawsuits are filed, and then it's a battle royale. Is that going to happen? That's most likely. Let me tell you how it doesn't happen. Tuesday night, Trump's getting his ass handed to him across the country by polling voters. People are walking in and voting right there. Then I think it's safe to say at that point in time, he's done for. But that's a big if. A long way to go. And that debate next Tuesday night is going to be huge. I think the independents out there who are over Trump, but like some of his actions, are over the media and the way that he battles with them, who may vote for Biden, want to see how good is Biden in this setup. These are Trump's championship rounds. Does he have the knockout punch? Because the average voter, and the way I look at this is how the media is going to portray it. They're going to cover it like the media, like critics cover a movie. It's the greatest movie of all time. It's amazing. It's dazzling. You go and you're like, that movie sucked. And then they go and they're like, this movie's awful. It's horrible. It's stupid. Cheesy lines. It made $500 billion and everybody enjoyed it. Meaning the media, chances are, even if Biden drools and he tips over, will probably say he's great, but the average person who's voting may go, yeah, no. Not so much. I don't think so. I always say, look at Rotten Tomatoes. You go look at Rotten Tomatoes. It got 4.5 fresh tomatoes or whatever, certified fresh. And then you look at, the critics. That's the critics. And then you look at the audience score and it's like 2. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at me, text the program. Love hearing from you. Purple helps me sleep great. I need it. My sleep varies on the weekend. I try to get as much as I can. I take my naps. I do my things. And it matters because I have a crazy, crazy work schedule. And right now it's extra crazy because one of my producers has fallen ill and it's going to be out for a while. So I'm getting up sometimes at 1 a.m, 2 a.m, and I'm working till 7 o'clock at night. I go to bed at 8 or 9, and I'm back up doing it. So when I hit the pillow, I need to be sleeping soundly. Purple does that for me. They've got the Grid 1800 open-air channels designed to neutralize the body's heat, which is amazing. Cooling effect. And they've done the same thing with a pillow, so you always sleep on the cool side of the pillow. I sleep better than I've ever slept before. even if I only get 5 hours where I'm able to actually sleep before I got to get up and go do something, I know for those 5 hours, I'm not going to toss, I'm not going to turn, I'm not going to be hot. I'm going to actually sleep. Take your sleep to the next level with Purple. Their proprietary technology is innovating the way we sleep. Experience the Purple Grid right now. Purple has financing as low as 0% APR for qualified customers. Go to purple.com/Benson10. That's purple.com/Benson10. You're going to get 10% off any order, $200 or more. Purple.com/Benson10. Promo code is Benson10 for 10% off any order, $200 or more. Purple.com. Promo code is Benson10. Terms apply. Chad Benson Show.
Check out our Chad Benson Show Facebook page where you can hang out or hang your grievances out to dry. This is Chad Benson.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Let's take a peek and see what's trending. Xbox Series X pre-order. Changing games. Apparently it's supposed to be huge and a game changer. The Death Star Raiders home. 2 million searches yesterday over the last 24 hours to check that thing out. CDC's got its guidelines out on Google and everywhere else. People looking, what are the safety holiday celebrations for this Halloween? Breonna Taylor, state of emergency. The grand jury decision, people are worried about, which is weird, right? So let me get this right. If we find nothing wrong, it doesn't matter what it is, where you have to go and do this. So if we look into this, we had this yesterday here but not to this extent, where I have to brace myself if based on the evidence at hand, doesn't matter what it is, you feel that you don't like the outcome, that you're going to burn down a city. That's solid. That's good. Head on over to the magical world of Twitter. Mitt Romney's trending because he said he will not stand in the way or block Trump's vote. He's looked at everything and decided Trump has every right, based on precedent, to have his nominee heard. And I was just telling producer Phil, I don't for a moment think that Mitt Romney could go back to very conservative Utah, beautiful state, by the way, and be the one who blocked Trump's potential court pick that could be very conservative socially. And that includes, no matter how you want to look at it, pro-life, pro-choice, whatever. Even if those things never come up, I just don't know how you do that. And on top of that, I don't know how you do that and potentially imagine that you're going to have a very interesting, smooth ride as a Republican senator. Because it's still always about the party. It's what's best for the party. It's what's best for the team. So, we'll see. Hatch Act. Betsy DeVos be investigated for potential violations of ethics laws. Also trending. I don't know what she did. I don't know what she did. Man, it's funny. Like, she is super hated. She is. Like, I've not seen too many people, like, not too many, education secretaries. People like, oh, can't stand her. She's awful. Like, if there's one person I hate, it's that education secretary. Like, I go look back and, like, I mean, can you remember who are some of the education secretaries? I'm like, okay, let's take a look here. You go back and you start looking, okay, who are some of the secretaries of education? Who were you? And you go, I have no idea who 90% of these people are. I don't know who 99% of them are. How about Oveta Culp Hobby? She was my favorite back in 1955. She was awesome. She was great. So Phil Rosenfeld, John King Jr., Arnie Duncan I've heard of. Not a lot of them. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
President Trump writes on Twitter he'll announce his Supreme Court nominee on Saturday at the White House. Sources tell ABC federal judge Amy Coney Barrett is the leading contender. She met with the president at the White House on Monday. Earlier this year, during the Senate impeachment trial, the president referred to Saturday as, quote, Death Valley in TV, because he says Americans are not tuning in. Depending on the timing of his announcement, the president could be competing with college football for Americans' attention.
Yeah. I think he's going to surprise everybody. I mean, would I be surprised with Rushing? I think Jones Rushing's her name. She's the youngest. She's only 38. She emerged as, I think, the third. And I think Trump likes her for a lot of different reasons, one of which is her age. She's 38. You know, this is the lifetime appointment. You know, the younger and the longer that you can have somebody there, that cements a lot of different things. Barbara Legault, who is the one that I think he might surprise people with, for several reasons, one of which is they just confirmed her not too long ago, and she got through with flying colors, and that included a lot of Democrats voting for her. Amy Coney Barrett may be more of what he wants, and at a different time, she might be it. And she's in the leader in the clubhouse, but I think when all is said and done, you also step back and say, all of this being said, which one's probably going to be the easiest to confirm? Because it looks like Mitt's on board at least hearing the nominee for our RBG spot. But which one's going to be the easiest for us to get through? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us, text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. You can go and check out Chad Benson Show TV. That is the YouTube, which is available everywhere on all these networks. Tonight, craziness, chaos. Breonna Taylor. And we'll talk about the case at a later date when we break things down even more. I want to talk about the potential of the what-if scenario.
A number of businesses here already boarded up. The governor here says he is prepared to activate the National Guard if necessary.
I find that to be insane. So, if I'm not going to give guilt, and it's nobody knows any of these things, right? What we do know is you had the no-knock warrant. But they knocked. They came into her house looking for her ex-boyfriend. Her current boyfriend gets out of bed. He's licensed to carry a firearm. She thinks it's her ex-boyfriend, who's not a good dude. She got caught up in the game, but seemed to be getting her life in a better way. She's one of these people that said, this isn't for me. Her ex, drugs, a dealer. He had used her address and things of that nature. She had made some choices when it comes to men that look, she knew, but she seemed to be moving away. But she thought it was him. Her boyfriend gets up. He fires shots. The police fire back. Kills her. There's no win here. There's no win. But and it doesn't matter if it's this case. Here we've got Deion Johnson, who was passed out on a freeway when the police officer, George Cervantes, approached him. They got into a scuffle after he was awoken by the police officer putting his handcuffs on him. Then he said, all right, I'm done. I'm not going to fight. And then as Officer Cervantes started to engage him again, he grabs him and starts to fight with him again. Then he's killed. And they found officer did everything that he should have. Goes back to, once again, you're in a situation where you're passed out on a freeway which is not safe, by the way. Should you have been killed for that? No. But you know what you shouldn't have done on top of that is fight with a police officer. But at what point in time do you say, so we're going to examine all the evidence? Again, don't care what case it is. Pick just any case, anywhere, and you say to yourself, let's examine it. We're going to come out. If we don't like the outcome, you guys burn everything down. Not that they're going to, but do I expect some unrest? It's possible. May not be, it may not be Portland. But I find that to be ridiculous and asinine. I do. I absolutely find that to be just so stupid. Well, people are frustrated and they're angry. Absolutely. Today's National Register Vote Day. Go out and get your voter registration. Go out and make a difference. Go out and have your voice heard. Go out and campaign. Go out and hold politicians, right or left, hold their feet to the fire. Go out and do the things that actually will have lasting change. Those are the things that we need to be focusing on. Lasting change. Right now, we have the government we deserve, whether you're local, right? So whether it's your state, your city, your county, or on the national level, we have what we deserve. Right now, we have reality show television. Chaos and craziness. Even the stuff that's good is reality show, and it's frustrating. But if you want to make a difference in the long term, much like losing weight, it's not overnight, and it's not going to be easy. So we need to focus on that rather than destroying the cities, rather than bringing chaos and hell, rather than frustrating people who live in those neighborhoods. I watched a great video today it was some guy in Portland. He's a black guy. And he gets out of his car, and there's all these, white protesters, and he starts screaming at him, like, why are you here? You're not from here? Well, we're here. And they're trying to be, the white, hey, we're here because, we want to, help you. And he's like, shut up. Blankety, blankety, blank. And it was so just like, I'm sitting there laughing because they were gobsmacked. I can't believe that's happening. We're here to help you. No, you're here to throw a fit and act like a child. You're not here to do anything real. See all these protests. You want to do something real? How about going down to the inner city and being a big brother and a big sister? How about mentoring? Do you mentor? I do mentor, actually, and I love it. Absolutely. It's a cool thing. It's not huge. It's not one of those things, but if I can make a difference in one person's life, they can then hopefully go on and make a difference somewhere else. And that's what's wrong with that. It's the way it works. It's not easy. It's not simple. But being pissed off, throwing a fit, I understand the anger, but take the anger out where it matters. Take the anger out on the politicians. Take the anger at a system that is flawed and broken and abused by fixing it. Not breaking everything around you and thinking somehow that same flawed and broken system that in many cases wants you to just stay in and around there. They don't want you to rise above it. I'm always amazed that people of color talk about, well, I'd never vote Republican, and yet you voted Democrat for how many years? Well over a half a century. What has it got you? What has the government done for you? That's why we got to take that out and say, what can you do for you? Rather than what the government can do for you. You go further. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me, text the program as well. The virus Still here. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. It is still here. It's not gone anywhere, at least not yet.
Unfortunately, it really is a bad topic to make a mistake like that on. So it's just unfortunate to send mixed messages around this.
Yeah, mixed messages is what the CDC's done. They post something, they take something off, they reversed. I think in the last 10 days, they've reversed twice on several different things on how it spreads. And then last week, we forget on Friday, it was whether or not people who are asymptomatic should or shouldn't get tested. Originally, it was like, well, if you're not feeling a fever and you're asymptomatic, how would you even know? But if you don't feel like you're getting any worse, then, just kind of don't go get tested. Now it's like, no, go get tested. And you're like, really?
All of the indications, though, that I have seen point towards it actually being an error in the scientific review process and not some type of more nefarious political motivation.
It's hard to tell. And it's hard to tell who you believe. Even if you want to go, well, I want to believe what you guys are saying, but you guys have contradicted yourself on how many occasions. It's hard for me to buy into whatever it is that you're trying to sell us. So, and the World Health Organization, I stopped listening to them ever ago because it's political. Much like the UN, it's a political body. What's best for the globe and the UN and some of the powers that be inside of those who have influence is what everybody gets. We focus on here, we go from there. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from you. A week from tonight, they will take battle. We're going to touch on that. It's going to be interesting. Chance for Trump to land a knockout blow or at least weaken what seems like a really big lead everywhere. But how real are those polls? I say you cut the polls in half. He still looks like he's got a decent lead. Old Biden there. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, Twitter. Hello Fresh, delicious. Had it last night. Have it again tonight. What is it? Well, food delivered straight to my door. Weekly. Contact free. Don't have to go to the store, which saves me a ton of money. About 40% versus shopping at the grocery store. I go home at night and I choose one of 22 chef-curated recipes each and every single week. Now, this last couple weeks, because Jack was here for about 6 weeks, my son, and so we pigged out. We had the family-friendly options, and it was easy to do, but, not working out, nothing running around. We're having a lot of fun. I'm on low-calorie now, and it's delicious. There's no portions that's wasted. They've got vegetarian. They've got family-friendly options, and it's real food, and it's fresh, and you take it out, and it takes about 20 minutes or so to go from I'm choosing this, look at the recipe, put it together because it's the meal kit, and cook it up and sit down and start eating it. Delicious. I added extra meals when Jack was here. If I travel, I can pause the food coming to me. It's great. They're totally flexible. Go to HelloFresh.com. Right? Use the promo code Benson. When you do, you save yourself $80 off your first box and free shipping. HelloFresh.com. $80 off your first box and free shipping. Use that promo code Benson. It's the number one meal kit in America. You will not be disappointed. HelloFresh.com. Promo code Benson. Saves you $80 and free shipping. Chad Benson Show.
Being antisocial sucks. Hang with Chad's friends on Facebook, The Chad Benson Show. And if you just need some alone time, head on over to Twitter at Chad Benson Show. Either way, we can't wait to meet the real you.
Welcome to the Death Star, where our opponent's dreams come to die, says Las Vegas Raiders owner Mark Davis. His nickname for the new Allegiant Stadium, right out of Star Wars. But it was the villain's HQ, no?
What went through my mind didn't go through your mind.
Head coach John Gruden.
I think it's a cool name for our stadium.
But the Death Star was blown up 3 times.
I don't give a damn about Star Wars,
but
it's a cool stadium.
When asked about Death Star being a failed infrastructure project, owner Davis says, no, not theirs.
Yeah, he's got the worst haircut. But if you guys have never seen Mark Davis's haircut, it's like Errol Flynn from the original Robin Hood. You're like, so you went with that, huh? That's pretty. So that's nice. I like the Death Star. It's exactly that. Allegiant Stadium, it's black, right? It's all blacked out. Goes with the Raiders' mystique. The Raiders are kind of that way. That's the kind of way the Raiders are. A little bit dark, a little bit evil. And by the way, just to let you guys know, the Death Star has been blown up 3 times. Last time I checked, I think they got 3 Super Bowls. So it's perfect. That is perfect for those swashbuckling Raiders. The Raiders. It's pretty cool, though. I was watching. They were showing some of the stuff. I mean, look, it's a new stadium, and it's awesome, and it sucks there's no fans. It is amazing. I want to see what it's like when these new stadiums have fans, because that stadium in Los Angeles is otherworldly. Like when Jerry Jones is gobsmacked, then you know. But this stadium yesterday, I was really surprised about how amazing it looked. And if you didn't see them roll, so the grass goes back underneath the stadium, it's pretty cool. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me, text the program. Love hearing from you. Chad Benson Show TV is great as well. Emmys sucked. Nobody watched. All-time low. They keep topping themselves from the year before. But the big winner may get some love.
The pop TV comedy S Creek dominated the Emmys, so you might be thinking to yourself, I want to check it out. Parent company Viacom CBS is making it more widely available, putting the series on Comedy Central starting October 2nd. And the final season, the one that won all the Emmys, will be on Netflix October 7th.
Yeah. S Creek is not what it's called. We said it yesterday. It's called Schitt's Creek. Chad, no. SCHITTS. It is one of the funniest shows. And Eugene, I love Eugene Levy. He is, I watched, God, what was that? It was a Steve Martin movie. It's like 15 years old. Queen Latifah. He was in it. I think they played lawyers or accountants or something. I watched it a couple weeks ago, and he's in it. And he falls in love with Queen Latifah. And he's so damn funny. And this movie, this TV show is, if you've not, I'll just give you a quick rundown of what this on. It's a Canadian sitcom. It's a wealthy couple, right? So they got everything, right? So they're like he's a big businessman. His wife is she's like a soap star. And what happens is they go broke, but they have one asset, and it's this small little town, which they bought years earlier as a joke because it was funny. And so they moved there with their spoiled kids, and it just craziness ensues. And it's funny. It's great. If you have a chance, check it out. You will laugh. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from you. Again, RBG seats. A lot of people are thinking to themselves, my goodness, could they find enough Republicans to say no? They were hoping and praying that Mitt would be one of them.
My statement applies to the current circumstance, which means the timing will be decided by the Judiciary Committee and the majority leader as to when it gets to the floor.
He said he will not block a hearing on the nomination, which Trump says he will nominate somebody on Saturday. But they were hoping for Mitt, so who could it be next? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, your Twitter, Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The Senate Republican majority should have no problem adhering to Justice Ginsburg's dying wish. Leader McConnell held a Supreme Court vacancy open for nearly a year in order to, quote, give the people a voice.
As a nation, we should heed her final call to us, not as a personal service to her, but as a service to the country, our country, at a crossroads.
Her last, to quote her, fervent wish was that the next president decide her replacement.
Well, If this was Make-A-Wish, maybe, but it's not. So, it's not very nice, Chad. Look, she understands it. It's politics. Politics is full contact. She was in it for a long time. I got pushback yesterday. I'm going to say it again. Why did you wait so long? That's really mean. Now, 10 years ago, let's go back in time. We'll get in the Wayback Machine. So back in the Wayback Machine we go. Obama, the Senate, and the House. It's all theirs. They got everything going on. But all that matters is you've got the Senate and the president. At any given time at 77, having some health issues already, you could have said, I worry that maybe the next person that becomes president, I might not be able to make it all the way through. And in doing so, this will come up and it'll be the different party. And I worry about that. So maybe it's time I step away. At any given time, she could have done that. But she thought Hillary's going to be it. She's going to win. There's no chance that Trump can win. Zero. I'm looking at the polls. This is tailor-made for her. I don't even think Trump wants the job. And lo and behold, he gets it. And now she's like, oh, God, I got to wait. I could do this. I could do this. I could wait. I get through this thing. Come on, Ruth. But she couldn't. So her dying wish was that the next president installed, not the next election cycle and whoever wins gets to pick, but the next president installed. The next president makes it seem like not this president gets to choose. But that's not the way this works. So now what? Well, the desperation sinks in, right? The freaking out, the thing that we heard yesterday. Should we play it again? I mean, should we? I kind of feel like we should. I kind of feel like for everybody, we should play it. What do you think, Producer Phil? Should we play it one more time? The lady
yes,
freaking
we
out?
Should.
Okay, here we go.
Holy you guys! I'm driving in a car, but I just got a notification that Ruth Bader Ginsburg died! Could this year get any worse? Ruth, you just had to make it to 2021!
I can't believe she's single. You're a jerk, Chad. So, but she didn't. And that's the desperation here. That's desperation. That's anger. Do you guys remember all the Republicans out there the day after Obamacare went through? Oh my God, we can't, middle of the night, couldn't stop it. Desperation, anger, oh my God, starts. We survived. Now, it's being challenged in the court. We can talk about that later. But that's anger and desperation. So then you have to look around and go, okay, so what can we do? So yesterday they're like, oh, my God, maybe we'll impeach him. We'll impeach everybody. Oh, we'll impeach me just to try to anything. Somebody take one for the team. Let's light this place on fire. Can we do that? Can we just burn everything down? Where are those kids that are pissed in Portland? Get them to come out here, burn everything down. That way there's no way. No, we can't do that. Well, then we're going to need 4 Republicans. We're going to need 4 Republicans. Susan Collins, she's worried. And she's in this. She doesn't feel it's right. You know, she had troubles with Kavanaugh because all the things he did. You mean how a woman came out of nowhere and said that something happened on a day that she can't remember at a house that she really can't place with a bunch of people. She's not quite sure if this happened umpteen years. Yeah, that's it. Solid footing on that one. Solid footing on that one. Yeah, but yeah. Okay, so there's that. Huh. Okay. We got her. Lisa Murkowski, got her, right? She's not even running for anything, but she may want something. So you got to watch that one. Well, then it's easy. Mitt Romney. We got Mitt. Absolutely got Mitt 110%.
I think at this stage it's appropriate to look at the Constitution and to look at the precedent which has existed since the beginning of our country's history. And in a circumstance where a nominee of a president is from a different party than the Senate, then more often than not, the Senate does not confirm.
Damn you, Mitt, speaking the truth. So we don't have Mitt. Nope, doesn't look like it. But Mitt was the big. He went the other way. He went that direction with the thing. Yeah, but this is about the courts and the pro-life and all that. Oh my God. Here's the reality of it. They can't do anything. And her dying wish may have been that. Totally could have been. But she also knew that this was politics. And I bet if you would have asked her a while ago, she would have said, if I would have known this was going to happen, I would have stepped down when Obama was in office. She did everything she could to hold on. Like everything. But the reality is Trump has every right. Well, what about the, like what happened in the past and all of that stuff? Well, what happened in the past? Well, look what they did. They all do that. They flip, they flop. They go outside, right? They lick their finger and stick it up in the air. Ooh, the wind's blowing this direction. That's the way we're going to go.
Republican Senate Leader Mitch McConnell making this promise about filling Ginsburg's seat.
This Senate will vote on this nomination this year.
But that's not the position he took in 2016 when he refused to consider President Obama's pick months before the election.
Let's let the American people decide.
McConnell says now is different because the Senate and White House are both controlled by Republicans. Former Vice President Joe Biden is also being pressed on his comments back in 2016.
I would go forward with the confirmation process as chairman, even a few months before a presidential election.
Biden says this year is different because voting has already started in this presidential election.
It's anger and frustration. It's what it is. Because he has the right. Even President Obama said, look, constitutionally I have the right to nominate somebody. And Mitch McConnell says, constitutionally, I have the right to not hear any damn thing. And if the shoe was on the other foot, if Hillary Clinton had a tumultuous 4 years as president, Clarence Thomas passed away or left, we were heading into what was already going to be a nasty, gnarly election. And Chuck Schumer was the Senate Majority Leader, you can bet your candy ass that they would do the same thing. And you know what? I would expect them to. Because that's what you do. It's a full contact blood sport, politics. It's as nasty and gnarly as what you see on Wall Street. It's about winning. It's about the W. That's it. Period. Case closed. Sad but true. It's always been this way. They've appointed people in the final days of presidencies. Some have been confirmed, some have not been confirmed. But at the end of the day, it's not whether or not he should. It's whether or not he can and will. And Trump can and he will. Doesn't mean whoever he chooses will get through the confirmation process. But at this point in time, they're going to make that effort. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us, text the program as well. I could listen to that girl scream all day. We talked about it in the past. We talked about the fact that I have never, ever been so emotional about something as to,
could this year get any worse?
I just never been that emotional. like I could see losing a child, or like some of these things, like some of the stuff that you would think, okay, that's why you get that emotional, but never over a Supreme Court justice. Never, unless you're related to her. know if that's a good or bad thing that you're not that emotional about stuff. I tend to think it's a good thing. It's not that you don't have any emotions. It's just that I just take a step back and go, well, there's only so much you're going to be able to do. There's so many moving parts in politics. But, man, and I don't, like you said for yesterday, Producer Phil, I have no idea what she thinks is going to happen the next day something happens. Chastity belt? It's like, that's it? I mean, what do you think? Like the Handmaid's Tale? I love that. Whatever that show's called that I don't watch. Among other. Is it Gunsmoke? No. All right, then I didn't watch it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Text the program. Check out Chad Benson Show TV. Thank you for that endorsement. She's fun. Car Shield. Car Shield is amazing, right? Because you see the check engine light. And that's what happens. You're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Well, with Car Shield, you don't have to worry about that. Car Shield, you get 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car for free while your car's in the shop. You choose the shop you take your car to. They get plans that start as low as $99 a month. You pay a small deductible. They get them paid directly. It could save you thousands in covered repairs. Not only is it protecting your car, it's also protecting your bank account. That's what I love about Car Shield. Be specific. Tell them what kind of car you have, right, when you call them up. But say, hey, look, my engine and everything I know is great, but I'm worried about the electronics in my car. I'm worried about the transmission. I'm worried about the air condition. They've got their plan that fits you and your budget. Call 800-CAR-6000. Use promo code Benson. 800-CAR-6000. Use promo code Benson. Saves you 10% right there. Or go to carshield.com. Carshield.com. Use that promo code Benson so you protect your car. You protect your bank account. You don't say, because you don't want to be that person. I promise you that. Deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
Darn, that climate change. Batten down the hatches. It's Topical Storm Chad, headed your way.
Are we allowed to talk about climate change, or is it only one direction that we can talk about climate change? I'm curious, because you never know, because you might say something. People are like, no, you know, like, you can't say that. Can't say that about climate change, Chad. I thought we lived in a country and in a world where we could kind of say stuff. We could hurt people's feelings. We don't hurt anybody's feelings. I have yet to find a human being's like, you said something, and my feelings were hurt, and now my life is destroyed. It's like, never in my life have I ever. When somebody says, we're going to get more into it in a little bit because the craziness going on with Joe Rogan and just the wacky world of the uber woke and stuff, but I've never, like, you hurt somebody. Like, who was hurt? Like, how were they hurt? Did I say something and they tripped and they broke our hip? Like, is that what happens? Oh, my Lord. We're a week away from the chaos and craziness that will be the first night of the debates. And I've been saying Trump has 3 chances to deliver a knockout punch. This is we've gone through the fight, right? So the fight's 12 rounds. The first 9 rounds, if you look, Joe's up on the scorecards. He's not delivered a knockout blow yet, but he did deliver a standing 8 count thanks to COVID. But he looks like he's tiring. Trump's got the championship rounds, boxing, 10th, 11th, 12th. That's where it's made. That's where your opponent is usually out of gas. That's where you hope you have every opportunity to go for it. And I think Trump figures, I got 3 shots to knock him out. 3 shots. 3 shots to come at him hard. 3 shots to throw some big punches and to show everybody he's not up for this. He's not up for the task. This is going to be an all-hands-on-deck presidency. It's not going to be Joe Biden's presidency. It's going to be weekend at Bernie's, and everybody else is going to be running around doing stuff. He wants his 4 more years.
We're going to win 4 more years in the White House. We're doing things that nobody's ever done before. We're doing what nobody's ever done, and thank you for being here.
He's got the opportunity to deliver that. But I also want to preface that for everybody out there, as huge Trump supporters, those independent voters that are out there that are really worried about Biden, his health. Am I electing Kamala, who I may not really be interested in? I'm worried about that. Those people are going to be watching. And if Joe looks like he's not up for the task, you watch to see how the polls can slowly but surely start to dip. Slowly but surely. I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight, but Trump will have his opportunity to deliver. And I think Biden has an opportunity to hold on to his lead, to strengthen his lead. But there is still a long way to go in this. But we are a week away, 1 week away, for all the screaming, the shouting, the yelling, the money that's being spent, for all of the craziness that has gotten to this point. It is now truly put up or shut up time. And now will be Trump's chance to start putting up. And for Biden, it's now a chance for him to start to tell everybody to shut up about whether or not he can handle it and the spotlight. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. Talk a little about the coronavirus and then the insanity of Joe Rogan switching from YouTube and his podcast and everything to Spotify. Wait to hear what some of the employees are saying. My goodness. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
In front of a large crowd of supporters, most not wearing masks or socially distancing, President Trump at a rally in Ohio Monday continued to downplay the threat of coronavirus. The president claiming COVID-19 affects elderly people who have heart problems or other pre-existing conditions and has not impacted people under the age of 18.
Take your hat off to the young, because they have a hell of an immune system, but it affects virtually nobody.
But in a phone call with journalist Bob Woodward back in March, the president acknowledged the threat to young people, saying there were, quote, some startling facts that, quote, plenty of young people are impacted by COVID.
Yeah, let's take a look at that, all right? You got to preface everything, as we all know. And I'm a facts over feelings guy, but losing a child, nobody would want that. In America, right now, it's less than 2% of the country that have contracted COVID. So less than 2%. Remember, we thought we were going to get 2 million that died? So we're at less than 2%. What about the young? Under age 20. 1 to 4, 14, 5 to 14, 30, and then 15 to 24 is 33. But what those are, I don't know. You know, this will go to 18. He's talking about the young. But you get to 65 plus, and that's where the numbers, 55, 23,000, 65, 40,000, 75 to 84, 48,000, 85 and over, nearly 60,000. Was he right? Yeah. Now, can it be bad? Of course. The flu, though, doctors will tell you. I know it's crazy. It's wacky. The doctors will tell you, hey, flu's worse for kids than this, for whatever reason. It is. And this is worse for adults, especially adults who are elderly and or in bad shape. Can't talk about that, though. Got to make it thing like hair's on fire. How do we control it so we protect the vulnerable and get on with our lives? I've been saying that since day one. How do we protect the vulnerable? We know who's vulnerable. By the way, during flu season, non-COVID, long before it got there, what did they always say? Who's most vulnerable to get this? People with pre-existing conditions, the elderly. We must protect them. The flu is much worse for kids, so we make sure they get their shots. We understand that. Different here, though, because politics is involved. Could you imagine if politics was involved in the flu? My God! The insanity that would be every year. Don't want it. I don't think anybody does. It's just crazy. Speaking of crazy, so Joe Rogan announced earlier this year that he was taking his uber popular Joe Rogan Experience, which, here's a guy who's a UFC announcer, one of the best stand-ups going in the business and has been for 2 decades, and a guy who is just at the height of a game that he created along with Adam Carolla in podcasting, and something that he readily admitted like 10 years ago. It's just him and his buddy screwing around, not really knowing what to do. Next thing you know, Spotify's offering him $100 million, builds out a new thing, heads over to Spotify. Before, he was in control. It was his own thing, his own doing, all of that stuff. Well, now you're in a different world because you're with Spotify. And as we all know, when you start to go to some of these companies, you got to deal with a younger generation that, quite frankly, is a mess. Terrified at everything, lives in a world of nothing but feelings, regardless of facts, and cannot stand opinions that don't line up with theirs and their feelings. So, he's been there, 3 weeks now? 4 weeks? They've had no fewer than 10 meetings with various groups and individuals to hear the respective concerns, says Spotify CEO Daniel Ek. One of the things they talked about is Abigail Schreier, who we're trying to get on the show. She's got a book out. A book, by the way, that she says I didn't really want to write, called Irreversible Damage: The Transgender Craze Seducing Our Daughters. She's an idiot, by the way, too. I just want to let you guys know. University of Oxford, Columbia University, Yale Law School. She has no idea what she's talking about. Great interview, by the way, if you've not seen it. This is what she tweeted out yesterday. We are becoming a bratocracy. Woke armies fitted with outrage and unwielding petulance of small children hold hostage universities, corporations, and publications. Now they attack Rogan for my episode. We must hand them losses. Don't pay the ransom. I agree 100%. So, what are they mad at? They're mad at Rogan because they want trigger warnings on some of his... Trigger warnings! On some of his podcasts. One of the things they talked about, and this I absolutely love. I was telling Phil, this is this dude, of, the chaos and crazy of his radical free speech. He came out and apologized the other day. Said, I blanked up on a podcast with Douglas Murray, said people got arrested for lighting fires in Portland. Turns out not to be true. Was very responsible at looking at it before he repeated it. Well, one guy did get arrested, but you apologized for something that in theory you didn't have to, and now they figure, well, we got him now, right? So let's get him for everything. His radical version of free speech. There is no version of free speech. You are not guaranteed anything in the Constitution that says your feelings can't get hurt. This is the problem with modern politics and why it sucks. And one of the things that was semi-refreshing about Trump. Do you want to be told the truth? Or do you want to be told what you want to hear? Do you want that? We live in a world now where these kids are beyond fragile. They're beyond fragile. Producer Phil, was it your work that had that issue? No. You recently spoke? No? Oh, it was that. Yeah, I forgot. God, what place was that where they were upset? The interns.
I don't think the something firm was ever mentioned. I just remember it was some high-end firm.
Yeah, it was like a tech place or something. And they were upset because they wanted a certain dress code and some of these other things. And so what they do, they just fired all the interns and said, we'll get rid of interns. We live in a world where petulant children throw fits and are allowed to run the streets of Seattle in 6 blocks just aimlessly and do what they want because they don't want to grow up. We live in a world where they fight these pretend wars of social justice, and it's insane. We need trigger warnings. My God. Are you kidding me? You need a trigger warning for what? Because somebody who wrote a book, who did research, is going to give an opposing point of view based on your opinion and feelings, not based on any research or facts that you've done. And because of that, you're upset. And so rather than say, I don't like that, you want trigger warnings and or that thing to go away. That is sad. The fact that we're talking about free speech should scare everybody. Haven't seen him lately? Some of the stuff that was on Joe Rogan's platform that moved over has suddenly disappeared. Alex Jones, gone. Well, why can't we have Alex Jones? Because of his conspiracy theories. Who cares? Are you that stupid that you can't figure it out? Do I need YouTube to tell me that the earth is round and not flat? And because somebody on YouTube says it's flat, I can't sit here and decipher for myself? Well, maybe it's not. And if I feel that way, who gives a rat's ass? Honestly. How did we arrive at this? Because over the last 35, 40 years, we've had kids that have grown up, and I look at some of my friends, and I thank God that they're not insane. But I do have a few friends who have become those people, who have raised children who are in college, who feel that everything in their world has to be coddled, and that they can't tell their kids the truth. And because of that, they take that from their parents, they go off to college, they get the same crap fed into their brains. And yes, somewhat indoctrinated. And the next thing you know, you look up and you've got a 22-year-old who's rewriting all of your HR things because the joke you made 4 years ago, which that person wasn't around, has suddenly become offended, and now you have to go to some sort of counseling. Are you blanking kidding me? Frustrates. And it should. It frustrates. I have to deal with half these damn kids who've got interns. They keep telling me, hey, do you want an intern for your show? No, I don't. And we've had a few of those. How dare you keep the door open for me when you're walking through, even though you did it for everybody else, as if I can't hold it open. I'm identified as he, she, they, their. And I'm like, well, I'm A-E-I-O-U, so we'll just deal with it. I don't know who put a chip on your shoulder, but you need to take it off. It is insane. It is. Think about our grandparents. Think about our parents. Think about the things that they've gone through in life. Think about the things in the 80s we've gone through and the parenting that we, I try to instill some of that. I want my son to have feelings. But I also want my son to recognize that other people may not like you. Other people will say things that you may not like. You must respect what they're saying, even though you don't agree with it. But you should fight for their right to say it. Scary. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program as well. Love hearing from everybody. Raycon, best earbuds around. Absolutely. Period. Case closed. End of story. Half the price of any of those other earbuds that are out there. Absolutely incredible. Stylish, cool, comfortable, I love wearing them when I go play golf, when I go run around and play soccer. I don't have to worry about dangling wire and stems. I get 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing. And when I'm making phone calls or video conference calls, I hear the other person, they hear me. No chatter, nice noise isolating fit. And did I mention well under $100? Boom. These are truly amazing. The comfort level, the way that they're built, it is awesome. Get yours now and save an extra 15% by going to buyraycon.com/Chad. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Best earbuds around. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
The pilot and passenger on their way to Maryland treated for what Chief Rick Ginesco tells us were non-life-threatening injuries. Neighbors like Dan Waino, amazed.
The guy drove right up the street, straight up the street, which was crazy with an airplane. He clipped a couple poles, took them down, yeah, but nobody died.
The guy, he drove up the street. He he did some stuff with the poles, but nobody died.
Waino's phone ringing off the hook after just starting a 12-hour shift.
Are you okay? Like, there's a plane in your front yard? Like, are you okay?
So awesome. Are you okay? Because there's a plane in your front yard. Are we good? Yeah, we're good. We're totally fine. Just put her there. Plane crash, Pennsylvania. Trump got blamed for it. Why not? Shamans have spoken, by the way, as we talk about election time. The shamans have spoken. So, incense, smoke, flowers, photos of President Donald Trump and Democratic rival Joe Biden. The shamans performed an ancestral ritual on Wednesday for the U.S. election, but there was little agreement about who would win. Even they don't believe. The shaman teacher, Anna Maria Simone, during the ritual held in low light in a room of an old building in downtown Lima, says she was in favor of Biden. That's why we are cleansing him. But others are like, we like him, Trump. Good energies for Mr. Donald Trump, said master shaman Pablo Torres. So which one's better? Is it a master or is it a teacher? That's good. That's a good question. Because for somebody who also likes Kung Fu, because it really combined two of my favorite things, which is the Old West and Kung Fu, when they would go back, you had Master Po, who was also his teacher. So who's better? Well, Pablo Torres, the master shaman, says he feels good energy to Mr. Donald Trump, carrying the snake on one of his shoulders after squirting a strange liquid from his mouth onto the image of Trump. They asked why. He says because he's deserving. He needs good energies, good vibes from his followers. We supporters of the gentleman, he will win. He is the winner. They have spoken. And much like everywhere else, they do not agree. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Go out, register to vote today. It's a big push. National Voter Registration Day. Why? Because registering to vote and then voting is mightily important. Why is that? Because we have a situation every 4 years, but also every 2 years. And during certain times, special elections where you need to get out and vote. And it's important that you vote in your local communities. It's important that you vote on the national level. It is important. We have battles going on, little things that are happening, such as what's going on with the Supreme Court. Who will be next? Domino fell today that I think a lot of Democrats thought were going to go in their favor because Mitt Romney had turned on the president once, but he has said, I'm not going to block the president. We're going to have a hearing. We're going to look at the Constitution and the way that it's written and the way that he's examining it. Is Trump has every right to do this. So no matter what,
the Senate Republican majority should have no problem adhering to Justice Ginsburg's dying wish. Leader McConnell held a Supreme Court vacancy open for nearly a year in order to, quote, give the people a voice.
As a nation, we should heed her final call to us, not as a personal service to her, but as a service to the country, our country, at a crossroads.
Her last, to quote her, fervent wish was that the next president decide her replacement.
But that's not the way it works. This isn't the Make-A-Wish. This is politics. And if you had the Senate, because you had enough people that voted for you based on the policies that you want to deliver to your constituents, then you would have the Senate. Trump has every right to do what he's doing. Says he's going to make the announcement now, it looks like on Saturday. And he has every right, Mitch McConnell, to have a hearing and a vote. It sucks. It's frustrating that we're in a situation where politics is so insane. But let's be real. We get the government we deserve. And right now, we like reality TV and fighting. And we've got plenty of that. Have a blessed rest of your day. Check out Chad Benson Show TV on the old YouTube. Join the Facebook and the fracas of fun there. Follow along at Chad Benson Show, Twitter and Instagram. We'll do it again mañana. Go have some tacos. It's Tuesday. Night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.